So Mike, we're April 25th. Mother Nature just dumped 2 foot of snow on us. Top of mind right now is switching corn maturities. A little early for that, so what are some things to consider as we're thinking about switching corn maturities at this point in the game?
Well, it's a good question, Joe, right? I mean, we've got a lot of concerns. Arguably we're about a week behind from where we'd like to be in getting corn in the ground.
Yep.
Ground conditions are still a little cool. Looking at some soil temps that we're seeing a lot of 36, 38 degrees. We have a nice warming trend coming, but we're probably still a good week out from getting much done right now. The tough part is when we start looking at switching maturities, we often give up a lot of yield potential. So, I'll give you a great example. So if we take a fuller season hybrid for our geography versus an early season hybrid on a May 10th planting date, you can watch that yield potential drop from 97% down to 89%, right?
Oh, okay.
And even at a May 20th plant date, that number are still 86 and 82% respectively in terms of yield potential. So when you start looking at these aspects of it, it's really going to be to our advantage in terms of not only yield, but also from an ROI standpoint, grain quality, dryness, we can be keeping our maturities true right around to that 27th of May timeframe.
Okay, so when we get to May 27th, when you think about making that switch, how much do we want to drop? I've heard 5, I've heard 10. What is that magic number?
If you're going to be running right past that 27th of May and you got to get some corn in the ground, I'd make that first jump to be right around a 5 CRM less than where you are.
Okay.
As long as you haven't been pushing your maturities too much to start. But I mean, if you were traditionally in that 95-day zone, I'd be looking to probably transition into that 90, 89-day range.
Okay.
That'd be the first step I would make.
Sure.
And at that point, then if we get out into that June time frame and we're still pushing a little corn in the ground, then maybe you make a more drastic jump and you get out to that around that 10-day CRM change. So.
Sure. Okay. Then as we get closer to planting here, what are some things to consider before we do start rolling, getting in the field? Everyone's getting anxious to get in the field, but what are some things we want to do before we do take that step and get the tractor out?
Well, great thing there you said too, Joe. So I mean, reverting back to what I said earlier in the conversation, looking a little bit at soil temperature.
Yep.
Like I said, we've been getting 38 degrees here right away in the morning. We've got some cool nights, so we're going to come a long ways here in the next week. You look at the 15-day forecast. We've got some warm temperatures, a little warm rain, but nice to get that ground temperature a little bit higher before we get rolling if we could.
Okay.
Looking at that soil condition itself, the best thing you can do is work that between your thumb and index finger.
Okay.
And it should be a nice crumbly. It should be, kind of a friable. If you're starting to get a lot of ribboning, especially on these finer texture soils, that's a good indication you probably shouldn't be out there. Also, too, just looking at what you've done with your tillage.
Sure.
I call them the sins of spring or your tillage boulders, right? So, if you're attempting to do some tillage in that last pass, looks like you have a bunch of stones out there. That's a good indication you probably worked a little too early. You probably need to work it again, right?
Okay.
Other things I think about too is just looking at the soil conditions. You don't want to be making that tillage pass. And essentially you want to look at what the conditions are, not only on the top, but they should be good to about an inch below what the depth of that tillage pass is going to be. So if you're going to run that finisher at 4 to 5 inches, you want good conditions down right around that 6-inch range ideally. So,
sounds good. Anything else to consider?
Beyond that, last thing I'd say is just, once again, we've talked about planter setup quite a bit, but, I hear this every spring when I'm doing these planter walks, and a grower will always say, well, this is how the planter was set up last year, planted perfect. Not every year is the same, ground conditions change, so I would definitely, as soon as you get that planter in the ground, be checking your depth, see what that looks like. If you've got any sidewall smearing going on, that's also a good indication. If you're a little too wet, look at how what your closing mills are doing, and you'll be in a great position to have an awesome crop here for 2018.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Joe.
That's it for this Pioneer Growing Point Agronomy podcast. Visit our page on pioneer.com and follow us on Twitter and Facebook @Pioneer for more agronomy insights.